Joke's on you!
We are back with game 2 of the semifinals for Mississippi State versus UT at El Paso. From Mississippi State, the first couple bands look like it's going to be
game 2
Shako of the semifinals for and Gang State.
Right.
While it looks like UT is going for the Zed and Caitlin band. So we have the same bands, it looks like. We have Zed coming out from Mississippi State, and we have Shako coming out from UT. So it looks like the same bands, so it's probably target band. Research solo queue bands
feathers
by the coaches for each respective team. Now, third band looks like Zaya after that strong Zaya showing from UT at El Paso. Now we go into the first pick phase. Mississippi State getting the first pick. Magnolia Man looks like he's probably going to be picking for Mississippi State. Now the first pick for Magnolia Man looks like the Zach. So they're going to be taking that away from UT, as UT does pick up the Thresh again. So the early game from Thresh was weak last game, but it did pick up, and his vision score did pick up late in the game. He dominated Mississippi State as far as killing vision and keeping vision in their jungle and on their side of the map, which eventually led to the snowballing of each lane for UT. We also see the Trundle pick, which was banned last game. So now we see the Trundle pick for UT going to be up top lane. So another Bruiser pick for UT. 12 shots picking here. He's going to pick up the Rakan. Now Zaya is banned, so we don't get to see that duo today. Or at least in this match. So the third pick going here. Going to see a pick from Fop, followed by a pick from Thor. Fop last game playing Oriana. So we'll probably see a similar pick in the coming picks. Cassiopeia, strong pick in this meta. Also taking the barrier, looks like. So we'll probably see a very similar pick on Thor's side. Probably a hovered troll pick. But that's what we saw last game, so we're probably going to see it again this game. Now, it does look like they pick up the Oriana, so a couple champion switches this game as Magnolia Man picks up the formerly UT pick, Zach, and Thor picks up the formerly Mississippi State pick of Oriana. Now, in the second ban phase, we do see Gnar being taken away from Mississippi State, as Magnolia Man looks like he's going to ban away the Renekton, which was a problem last game for Mississippi State, so they just take that off the board completely.
You would not gain.
They also ban Kaisa, which we don't see a lot of, but can definitely be strong in the right hands. So as their last pick, or their last ban, UT decides to take away the Kaisa, as we see the last ban coming from Mississippi State. Probably going to be a similar carry. Again, here as time winds down, we're looking for the last ban.
My genius will be understood
Jin. So that's
eventually.
A total of what you could count as 4 AD carry bans coming out from both teams, 2 respectively. We come out with the Gnar and Renekton bans, even the GP ban. And as we know from talking to Mississippi State's coach, we know that the Shako ban is in place because of the jungler on UT is a Shako one-trick in solo queue. So now we're seeing him play these tankier junglers. Going to be Jarvan in this case, more than likely. But they do take away the Shako, so he has to play something a little bit tankier and different than his playstyle. But he proved his worth well in the last game, making a lot of impact on that Zach, which we now see Mississippi State using. Xanarchy decides he's going to pick up the Varus. So not a very mobile team comp so far with the Varus and the Cassiopeia from Fop and Xanarchy. Now Zach able to initiate the fights, Cassiopeia able to keep the fights going, and then we have Rakan all in himself with a knock-up and a charm, able to keep the fight going in Mississippi State's favor as well. As far as UT and their team fights, we have the Oriana, ult, we have the slow, and we have the flag and drag from Jarvan.
All right, I am back. But my co-caster cannot cast. Okay, he just let me know that he cannot cast. His roommate is back, so we're going to be doing a weird solo cast thing. His computer's streaming, but I'm the one talking, and I will not have control of the spectator client, so this is going to be very interesting. Unfortunately. So we see the comps that both teams picked. We have something pretty similar from MSU. We have, the engaged jungler, tanky top laner, definitely tankier than Darius last game. In the mid lane, we see, slightly more DPS-oriented mid laner for MSU. And in the bot lane, we have kind of another poke ADC with another engaged support. That's definitely Eric's style. On the other hand, we see some interesting things coming out from UT. We have the Jarvan top, which is kind of an unusual pick. In draft, we were expecting the Trundle to go top in J4 jungle, but they flexed it around on us. So I'm not actually super familiar with the Scion J4 matchup. I expect it would kind of go towards the Scion. He can just farm and ignore the J4, I would think. As far as the Trundle, it's definitely really strong jungle. The pros have displayed that, especially into stuff like Olaf and Skarner. Not sure exactly how it goes into Zac, but does offer utility in team fights. With that pillar, he can kind of, he can stop those Scion ults from coming in. He can I think that MSU's comp definitely higher DPS, lots of team fight potential, whereas UT, they definitely seem like slightly more pick oriented. Things like the Thresh Hook and the Ash Arrow, even the J4 Cataclysm being able to single people out. And by the way, if this stream is not working for some reason, I will not know. I'm not the one streaming, I'm just the one talking. So I'll try to check the chat in a moment, try to let Kaching know if it's not working correctly. But if it's not, we may just not be able to cast very well. Okay, loading into game. If we look at the masteries every player's chosen, we see pretty standard stuff coming out from MSU. The J4 has picked up the Aftershock, so he's probably going for a tankier J4 build, planning on frontlining for his team, getting the extra tank stats that mastery affords. Nothing else too out of place, I would say. Generally on J4, you would take Electrocute, but that's kind of the jungle build, I think, so we will have to see how that works out. Looks like Xanarchy, MSU's ADC, is on a coaster. 0% loaded in at the moment. He shares an internet connection with some of the other players, so not sure why it's taking as long as it did, but we will be getting into game right now. And it just occurred to me that you guys will probably not be able to see the scoreboard unless Jay so kindly sets it up. And he is. Thank you, Jay. You can hear me, you just can't hear him. And the pause comes through. What's going on here? Looks like UT's support has failed to load in. Unfortunate. Hopefully that will get resolved pretty quickly, and we can see what these teams do at level 1 as some banter gets passed between the teams in all chat. Generally frowned upon, but not a huge deal. I'm actually going to see what the situation is. Pretty long pause. You might mistake this cast for an ESL production or an IEM. If anybody remembers the amazing IEM, I believe Katowice with G2 and Flash Wolves. I believe that game had several pauses. It was a best of 3, and it took a very long time to complete. It was very late at night when that got finished. Both teams were completely exhausted by the end of the night. Hopefully, we do not run into a situation like that. More stuff in the all chat getting thrown back and forth. Very exciting gameplay so far. I think we can all agree. You know, this is what you like to see out of a semi-final best of 5, is a long pause at the beginning of a game. Well, since there's nothing about this game to talk about, guess I can talk about LCS. Team Liquid absolutely destroyed 100 Thieves. It was a slaughter. Game 1, 100 Thieves had Baron stolen away from them, and it just looked like they were destroyed after that, like their brains were off. Very sad. Happy for Double Lift, of course. And I hope that NA has a good showing at MSI. I think they'll probably get beaten by Fnatic, if I had to guess, and probably the Korean and Chinese representatives, whoever they turn out to be. Coming back to college level League of Legends. Not sure what UT has been up to, but MSU has been playing in a tournament hosted by AVGL. We are currently 2-2 in that league. We're playing Louisiana State and Ole Miss, and actually UT San Antonio, which is in this tournament. but it was their B team, and MSU wiped the floor with them. So that's pretty much where the focus from MSU will be after this semifinal match, assuming they do not come out on top here tonight. For anyone who doesn't know, I am actually Gerard. I don't think I mentioned who I was before. I am MSU's coach, so I've been pretty harsh on them during the last game. And I will continue to be if they deserve it. I also played on the team before. I was the jungler before only 12 shots, moved from ADC to jungle. I decided to just move to a coaching role. We all agreed that would be best for the team. I was definitely not toxic. It was just mutual disagreement. Looks like Xanarchy was the one that never connected. That makes sense. He has reconnected to the game. Hopefully this pause will not go on too much longer. 6 minutes. That's the longest pause I've been forced to solo cast through. Magnolia Man has unpaused the game. Thank you, Magnolia Man. We finally see these teams on the Summoner platform, spamming those emotes. The GLHFs come through, and we will finally get into this game 2 between MSU and UT Paso. Looks like both teams are just going to go for pretty standard level 1. MSU is stacking in the Hot River Pixel Brush, actually. UT is just spread and would definitely see that invade coming, so not really a whole lot of point to that. Actually, my bad, that was UT that did the stack. I have my map sides mixed up from last game. I am retarded. Don't mind me. Hey, chat, I'm not toxic. I just said that. Just a reminder.
Minions have spawned.
So yeah, anyway, standard level 1. Looks like there is an invade from MSU, just kind of testing the waters, seeing if UT had warded that bush. And they did get the ward onto UT's red buff. So they know for certain that the Trundle will be starting on the bot side at his blue buff. Interestingly, MSU's jungler is starting at their blue buff on the top side, so I expect to see some action from the Zac towards the bottom lane pretty early, or perhaps towards the mid. We'll have to see how he continues his clear. On the other side, I expect Trundle to go for a gank onto the Scion around 3 minutes. That's pretty standard what you do when you start bot side. We see some early trades in the bot lane, nothing too major coming out, just some tickling going on between supports and the AD carries. Taking a peek at top, it's pretty much what you expect to see from a Jarvan who has the push advantage. And we might see Eric go down here as the Ignite comes through. And the Flay, might see Ash Flash here, and does get in range. Looks like Xanarchy is trying to go for the return, will get flayed away. And it looks like he might go down here too, and on the top side, we see lots of damage being piled onto Magnolia Man by Slant Lords, Jarvan. The Flag and Drag combo can be deadly, especially when you take the full amount of damage and J4 is allowed to hit you with the Martial Cadence passive. Magnolia Man, of course, he is Scion. He will be able to fire back a little bit. See Trundle ganking the mid lane here. doesn't get any summoners, but it looks like Fop's flash was burned a little bit ago. So that was a good attempt from him, but the phase rush will keep Fop pretty safe. Again, Eric will just get caught again. That is actually probably just a lost lane for MSU. Short of just sloppy play from UT, I think that lane's probably a lost cause. However, in the mid lane, we do see a good gank onto Thor. Looks like MSU will almost pile on enough damage, but will not quite get it. We see a big farm lead already coming through for UT's bot side, as Eric has fallen twice in 4 minutes and is only level 2 to everyone else's level 3 in that lane. More trades onto the top side. Looks like Sion might actually have the better of this one. Almost gets the solo kill. Not quite enough mana to cast all the spells he needs, look like. Slant Lord will start them back. Might get cancelled by Magnolia Man, actually. Looks like he will just be allowed to back in peace, and will start channeling the teleport immediately. Will actually return to lane with only about 2/3 HP. And it looks like Magnolia Man will go for the same thing, just teleport back to lane immediately, I would expect. Looks like, interestingly, the Jarvan is building damage. Might just be going for something like a Duskblade, or perhaps just the Tiamat into something like a Black Cleaver, and then going for the more standard top lane Jarvan build. Would be kind of weird in my opinion to see him go lethality, but some Jarvans do it. If you guys think I'm talking a little bit much about the Jarvan, it's because I basically only play Jarvan. It's my most played champion this season, so I feel a particular affinity to it. We do see a gank in the bot lane that will just result in Eric getting caught once again. He does have the Battle Dance, I believe it's called, to the Varus. Will keep him safe, but takes a lot of damage. And MSU's still not going to be very happy about the state of that lane. You can see Varus has a pickaxe to Ashe's BF sword. And not too surprising, we see the gank onto Magnolia Man. With the Jarvan ult coming through, you have to think Magnolia Man's just going to die unless the shield comes through right there, but it doesn't. Is taken down by the Jarvan Q, and the zombie will just farm that wave. That's well, if he had been any other champion, he wouldn't have gotten that farm, so that's something. He does have a slight CS lead, but after that gank, he's probably going to lose pressure. We see UT out to a pretty big lead at 7 minutes, over 2,000 gold. Compared to last game, where MSU had the lead early, and then threw it. Might see an even quicker game from UT this time around. Of course, they could just throw their lead away. At this level, that happens all the time. Looks like MSU's bot lane has stabilized somewhat. Eric hasn't died again, so that's a good sign. Looks like Thresh is fishing for those hooks. Jarvan might actually be in not a great situation here. He doesn't have any mana. Magnolia Man decides not to keep going. Probably didn't have the Q cooldown ready. He actually did. I'm not sure why he didn't go for that. But it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. So, neither junglers had huge impact in this game so far. Trundle did get the one game onto Magnolia Man. That's definitely good. And we see both junglers just going for the standard tank build. Some Trundles, some misguided Trundles in my opinion, have been building the attack speed jungle item. I think it's a bad idea, but if you want to be super aggressive and be a secondary carry, it is an option. Certainly an option. Alright, so if we take a look at the individual goal leads, even though UT is out to the lead as a team, MSU does have the slight lead in the mid lane. You guys can't see this since Jay is streaming and can't show you the goal at this moment, I think. So the goal lead for UT is actually mostly concentrated in the Thresh, where he has over 1,000 gold lead, looks like, just individually, and in the jungle, which is another 700 gold lead. We do see a dive come out from UT. Looks like MagnoyMan might have been able to get something onto that jungle, but will not. We see a fight in the bot lane, and it looks like MSU will actually be able to pick up the Ashe. Unfortunately, goes over to Eric's Rakan. That is not what you want to see, but it does give MSU some much-needed help in that lane. Orianna is there, maybe to try to get something back, but will herself just get jumped on by the Rakan. Cassiopeia is here, they might be able to make it happen. Probably not onto the Orianna, although they do try. Orianna comes through, will tear up MSU. As Fop is taken down and the arrow comes through, does land onto Eric's Rakan. He will not get taken down by the Ashe or the Thresh or the Orianna, but will fall instead to Jarvan. And it looks like Jarvan's about to get himself another kill as the EQ, or just the Q and an auto attack, empowered by Martial Cadence, will come down, pop Varus on the head, and pick up the kill. And I have to think before people hear UT is going to continue onto this tower, pick up the first tower, and that will balloon their gold lead to almost 5,000, I believe. So at 11 minutes, that is a huge, huge advantage for UT. Again, still a lot of that is concentrated in the support. But now a fair bit of it is now in the jungler, in the ADC, in the mid laner, and even in the top laner from that excellent TP play from Jarvan. So yeah, looking rough for MSU in this second game of the series. Their only kill was onto the Rakan. 1-3-0. Definitely a poor performance so far, unfortunately. However, I believe that MSU will be able to pull it back, try a few plays, try to get it back going their way. This is not a team that just rolls over, they will try something. One thing that they do have going for them, that Cassiopeia will be pretty strong, will put out a lot of DPS, so they may need to play around that. And they do, I think, have the better late game team, it's just a matter of getting there. So we'll have to see. MSU has actually, just through CSing, looks like, brought the lead back about 1,000, but looks like Jarvan just going for the cheeky W onto Cassiopeia, just kind of saying, boo, hey, I'm here. You have to worry about being dove. So like I was saying, they may sense that Cassiopeia is where MSU is going to try to bring it back, and just want to put pressure on her. Looks like Jarvan is going for the solo kill attempt onto MagnoyMan. Will force the flash. If I had to guess here, looks like Xanarchy is going to fall after a great enchanted crystal arrow from Ashe comes out. The Rakan ult does come through. The Zac ult does bring UT back towards MSU's inner bot tower. But Eric gets hooked again, and I have to think Orianna will pick that up easily. Now, Cassiopeia gets a huge stun onto a good chunk of UT. Does pick up 1 kill, helping out the Zac anyway to pick up the Thresh, but will not be able to pursue any farther. And that whole sequence of events, the gold lead stays pretty much static at just over 4,000. So, not horrible from MSU, but definitely not what they want. We do see Zac trying desperately to get something onto the Orianna, but just does not work at all for him. Cassiopeia does not respond in time, neither does Rakan, so Orianna will just return to the mid lane, just keep farming. So at this point, the options for MSU are getting more and more limited. Their ADC, their bot lane, is just not doing well. Has not even completed an item. And we see a fight coming out onto the Thresh here. Looks like Thresh will be taken down onto that Cassiopeia. So that is a point for MSU. That's great to see Cassiopeia get on the board. And it looks like they will try to just start up this Mountain Drake. Very important objective for them. In fact, they decide to send all 5 people onto it. I think that might be slightly questionable. Probably should have sent 1 or 2 people to the mid lane. But they do secure it, which is a very valuable Drake for this team if they ever are in a position to take the Baron. With that Elemental Drake, with the Cassiopeia, with the Rageblade Varus, they will take it very quickly. So that is definitely a point in MSU's favor. On the flip side, I don't think UT is too concerned about giving that up. The next one that spawns will be Infernal. So they definitely be happy with picking that up to either team, of course, would. I think there's probably more people that benefit from it on the side of UT. And we see the engage attempt come through from Magnolia Man, but he gets a field goal, goes right between UT's carries, and will not actually pick up either of them. Big damage coming through onto UT. The Orianna only hits Magnolia Man, and he will go into zombie form. J4 is taken down. Zac passive popped. Zombie approaches Ashe and Orianna, but they just back away. So in the end, 1 for 2 in favor of Mississippi State. And UT's carries are pretty low and may not see this dive coming. Looks like only 12 shots is preparing something, but will get found out by Avada's Thresh. We don't think this play can or should continue, but MSU might try to force something as Eric's Rakan comes through. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow does land on his Anarchy. Only 12 shots, little too deep, he is alone. The flash comes through. Cassiopeia looking to get damage as the Zac passive was already blown. Thop just going way too deep, does not pick up anything. MSU, just like the first game, they are overreaching for these plays that just are not going to work out. A 300 HP Cassiopeia is not going to win a 1v3. It's just not going to happen. I'm honestly not sure what was going through any of their heads throughout that extended play. They won the fight. They should have just left after that instead of trying to continue with a misguided dive. So they do get the 1v2, 1-4-2, but then end up losing 2 more. Actually, impressive play from Eric there. Gets himself out of a sticky situation. Does pick up a kill, but again, unfortunately, it's on the Rakan. We see an actually good fight from MSU here. They pick up the Thresh, they pick up the J4 previously. And again, we'll have to see what they do with this. They get the 2 kills down, and it looks like they're just going to try to force this mid lane once again. It's a 4v2, so it's definitely more advised than the first time, but it looks like they're just trying to dive. Looks like they will get the Trundle. Not quite, as Trundle just flashes and walks away. So overall, that's a good sign of life from MSU, definitely. The gold is not getting out of hand for UT, for MSU. Still a little under 5,000. MSU's still in this game. It's still possible. Like I said, you can't count them out. They're gonna keep trying stuff like that. If it doesn't go their way, they'll keep trying. That's just their style. So some good, some bad. Hopefully for MSU, we'll see some more of the good come through. The hook lands onto Eric once again. The play is going to knock him out of his battle dance. The Scional actually comes through, but is kind of canceled out by the Oriana ult. Looks like MSU's ADC is in a bad place. They do manage to pick up the Trundle, but it looks like J4 trying to get revenge for his fallen jungler. So, looks like UT is kind of doing a little bit, I hesitate to say to any large degree, but a little bit, just overreaching, trying stuff that just isn't gonna happen for them with the resources they have available at the time, letting MSU get just a little bit closer to being really back in the game. See another stretching strike come out from Zach. Lands onto the Thresh, but there's no follow-up from his team or really anything for him to latch his second armor to, so looks like MSU is just happy to push the wave and reset. So, interestingly, looks like the Jarvan has opted to go for this lethality route. He has picked up the Youmu's. He's got the Tiamat, which isn't a lethality item, but it does help with his wave clear, and he's working on what I assume will be a Duskblade. Could be the Edge of Night, but almost certainly the Duskblade. So he's going to be exploding any of MSU's carries that he can access. And if the Scion go in, he's going to have pretty easy access to MSU's backline. Looks like MSU will try to contest this Infernal Drake. Rakan gets a really big knockup. The fallout looks like it's just... follow-up looks like it's not there, as Jarvan is allowed to access that backline like I talked about. Cassiopeia trying desperately to get that J4 down. Will not quite be able to get it, but the Scion W, the Soul Furnace, does pick it up. Zach gets out 4 for 3 in favor of UT. So very, very sloppy for both teams. MSU there could have played it better. UT probably just should have tried to secure the Infernal Drake, focused all of their efforts on that, and then left and not allowed MSU to get the engage. But it did end up working out in their favor, and they did secure the Drake, so definitely in their favor. So once again, we have another bloodbath of a game. I believe there were 50 kills last game in a, I believe, 30-ish minute game. So it looks like we're on track to match that once again. Checking up on the items and individual gold stuff, the ADCs actually look pretty well matched. If we look at the gold, Xanarchy actually has a slight gold lead over Reclaimer. Neither carry farming particularly well. The differential in mid lane also not very big, only about 800 gold. So we see the gold lead mostly manifesting on that Trundle, almost 3,000 gold up on the Zac. and on the Jarvan, almost 2,000 up on the Scion. So MSU's carries actually, you know, comparable to their counterparts for sure. So that's why these fights have been so even, I think. Because the J4 usually waits to clean up fights. That's kind of what Lethality Jarvan does. Whereas the Trundle has kind of been the one getting targeted early in the fights. And hasn't had as much of an impact. And if MSU plays it right, and plays fast enough so that the Jarvan is not allowed to access their backline, they definitely have a shot at getting favorable fights. And I think that there's gonna be some jockeying for position around the Baron pretty soon, as the Drake will be up for a while, and MSU's outer towers are gone. So if we look at the vision situation, both teams have 3 or 4 wards in the area, although Avada doing his damnedest to keep MSU just completely in the dark. Just like last game, we see another trend with the Thresh nearly doubling Eric's vision score, just doing a lot more work on the vision front, just like game 1. In fact, you can actually see that looks like UT are buying more pink wards as a team, so that alone will just give them a pretty big advantage. Eric does manage to avoid the cheeky crystal arrow, but does get hit by the death sentence, is able to access UT's backline, and the Reclaimer is taken down. Looks like MSU will reach the fight faster. Jarvan's just kind of on the backside, and it turns out being a 1 for 3 in favor of MSU. So this is what I was talking about. The Jarvan wasn't a factor in the fight, and UT's AD carry was taken out pretty early, and that allowed the relatively equal MSU carries to just do their work, do it well. And this is where we see the power of that Earth Drake from earlier come through. MSU is doing this super quickly, and I think it's just MSU's Baron, although the Jarvan does do a tremendous amount of damage. MSU needs to finish this Baron. I'm not sure what they're thinking here. Looks like they will pick up the Jarvan, but they could have taken Baron. Looks like maybe he smited early, or smited the Jarvan something? So maybe he didn't feel confident that it wouldn't get stolen away. Although, overall, still a favorable fight for MSU. I believe overall it was something like 5 for 3. And the fight just keeps on going as Zach is trying to get something done. Big engage from the Rakan, kind of shut down by the Ash's Crystal Arrow. The Zach passive is popped. I don't think Magnolia Man can really do a whole lot about it, although he is delivering a fair amount of damage onto Reclaimer's Ash. And MSU's carries have arrived. The J4 is teleporting, but it might be too late. By the time he gets there, the teleport does complete. But like I said, it is too late. Cassiopeia picks up 2 kills. And that's 2 for 1 in favor of MSU, so UT just keeps giving up these, you know, bad fights to MSU. And Jarvan looks like he's hunting for MSU's carries with the support of Ashe and Orianna. Looks like he will be able to do something if he had a little bit more movement speed, perhaps. So game state as of now. Looks like UT still has priority over the Baron area. However, MSU does have a wave in the bot that is pushing into UT's bot tower. It will actually take that tower down. So that is good wave manipulation on the side of MSU. I'm not sure if that was actually intentional or not. But either way, UT should have probably noticed that and answered it. And if they don't notice it, or answer that huge wave, is actually just going to keep pushing and become a bigger and bigger problem. And actually, when they do send someone to answer that, looks like the teleportless Jarvan is being sent to answer that. MSU could possibly just force the Baron. They are pinging onto it, and they are moving towards it. They've seen the Jarvan. They have not seen Ashe, so they know that she's not around in the immediate area. They do get the pink ward down in the pit. Jarvan is moving over. I don't think MSU has seen him yet. They've not seen the Ashe either. And they do not know that they are standing on wards. So MSU there had the right idea, but did not pull the trigger, and were not allowed to pull the trigger because of their lackluster vision control. It looks like they're just going to give UT the priority on this Baron. They might even start it up, but MSU does still have that bot wave pushing. They do have the top wave pushing. UT is kind of on a clock here. They have to either force the Baron or bait it and force MSU into a fight here. Looks like the Jarvan has gone in. The Oriole does land onto... Only Eric actually is taken down. Big knockups coming out from Magnolia Man as the Trundle is just kind of in MSU's backline, wreaking havoc, not allowing MSU to do anything to UT's carries. MSU absolutely all over the place. 3 of them, no, 2 of them do just get out. And it does, unfortunately for them, allow UT complete control over this Baron. Just when it looked like MSU might be getting back into this game, UT pulls off a great team fight on MSU's poorly sided, poorly warded side of the river. So with that Baron, they're gonna just clear out their lanes. Like I said, if you look at bot, that has taken a lot of damage because they didn't answer it until just now. But with that Baron, it just is not going to be relevant at this point. Looks like neither team is really doing anything right this second, but I have to think UT is just going to keep focusing on that mid lane. Probably going to pick up that dragon, probably going to push up the bot. Would not be surprised to see them try to push bot and top, excuse me, bot and mid at the same time. That is one thing MSU has going for them right now. Top wave is pushed out and there's no UT members on the top side. So that's something going for them. But they do have 2 lanes that are being pushed in right now. There's going to be a fight of some kind, maybe a dive, depending on how MSU and UT allocate their resources here. See the minion wave crashing into the bot tower. Looks like they're not focusing mid at all, so MSU could opt to take the fight here. And Eric goes in. It's a great knockup onto Oriana, actually. They do take her down. They take Jarvan down. This is definitely the fight that MSU wants. Trundle is pulled back. Gets knocked up. Will be taken down. I have to think that Zach is going to continue with this elastic slingshot onto these members of UT. But they do pick up 3 for nothing. Looks like the Zach is still trying to pull something back. But this is what I was talking about. They might be overreaching here. If he walks into something like this. Oh, and they do force the Ashe Flash. That was several layers of baiting actually there. UT thought they were baiting MSU, but MSU was actually baiting UT, and they fooled me too. Also, on the other side of the map, MSU is being fed this massive top lane wave. They are answering it at the appropriate time. So, UT, even though they got the Baron, they mess up again and give MSU another good fight, another avenue into continuing this game, possibly turning it around. So, if if we check back in on the gold, we actually see that MSU's carries do have not an insignificant amount of gold. We see another fight that looks like it will go in the favor of MSU. Not quite. UT gets pretty low in that little skirmish, but neither team loses any members. But again, that's what MSU wants, and they are going to try to get the Thresh here. This may be a little overreaching, but Trundle is not here. Magnolia Man Sion goes straight into the wall. May have been trying to pull off a little bit of drift there around the corner, try to catch the Orianna and the Thresh, I believe. But they still need to play calmly. They may be able to force something. Their carries are a tiny bit stronger. The situation with the gold is kind of misleading at this point. It's almost all on the top lane in the jungle for UT. So that Jarvan is strong, but without his Guardian Angel up, he is pretty vulnerable to getting turned on by MSU's carries. Looks like that GA will be coming up soon-ish. I think there's a spectator bug, so I can't actually tell when it will. But when it does, that will prevent him from being destroyed immediately if he jumps in. Okay, and it has come up. So good news for Jarvan there. Oh, a great ult from Orianna, followed by a great enchanted crystal arrow, picks off the Cassiopeia, and that will almost certainly lead to the fall of MSU's bot lane inner turret. So we see 3, 4 of UT push that, kind of proxying the wave a little bit, but the turret does fall and they continue onto the inhibitor tower. This may be somewhere where MSU has to force something. Jarvan is trying to access MSU's backline, and he does have the damage. The Abduct holds UT's carries pretty deep. Zac passive is popped. Looks like the GA from Jarvan will just barely avoid being popped. UT loses Thresh, but they do get the inhibitor tower. They're probably pretty okay with that. MSU does not lose anyone though. Could look to maybe strike back if the situation presents itself. Looks like Eric on this Rakan is doing what he's been doing most of the game. Nearly 100% kill participation actually. And I completely missed Xanarchy being caught completely out of position alone. That is super questionable. Not sure at all what happened there. But at this point, Varus should never be walking around alone against a lethality Jarvan, a very strong Orianna, etc. Definitely rough game from MSU. They're trying to claw their way back over and over again, and they are winning just enough of these fights to prevent UT from completely taking over this game 2. As I mentioned earlier, Game 1 had 50 kills. We are at that point in Game 2 right now. So we may well crest maybe 60, 70 kills for this game. There's a 2-word phrase that some people use to describe games like this, Clown Fiesta. You may have heard it referred to. I would definitely describe this game as such. UT got a lead, and they've just been kind of teasing MSU by throwing it a few times, and MSU has obliged and thrown back a few times of their own. Looks like the engage from UT is coming through. Tons of damage coming out of Magnolia Man, but he is super tanky. Looks like UT's carries will kind of avoid most of the damage, but that Jarvan will do a crap ton of damage onto MSU's carries. Will be able to escape himself unless Xanarchy has something to say about it. But he does not. So in the end, Trundle dies, Scion dies, 1 for 1. If you're in MSU's position, you're probably pretty okay with that. The jungler being dead makes it pretty hard for UT to take that Elder Drake. They might even be looking to take it themselves here, although with Orianna still there and the rest of the team on the way, I don't think it's going to happen for them. We'll try to clear this pink board, and Xanarchy should not be there, but he will get away in time. Whew. What a game so far. We see UT finally answering that massive bot wave. Orianna picking up a massive amount of farm. If we look at the CS numbers for this game, it's actually pretty disgustingly low from almost all of the carries here. If you look at Reclaimer, for example, 232 CS in a 40-minute game. That's, what, 6 CS per minute, maybe? That's definitely not where you want your AD carry to be at. Xanarchy only slightly better. Maybe about at the 7 CS per minute mark. Definitely, all of them could do better. And that is something that could have turned this game if MSU's carriers were farming better, or if UT's carriers were farming better. That would compound the advantage they have from these objectives. And at this point, UT's carries stronger than their counterparts, but doesn't end up mattering if MSU's carries just get picked off instantly. And it looks like that will allow Baron priority for UT. And it looks like MSU is just opting to do the objective trade here. As UT goes for Baron, they are rushing straight to the Elder Dragon. And UT knows that. They have better vision. So they're going to try to prevent the Elder Dragon take. If MSU loses this fight and gives up the Elder Dragon, well, they don't have to worry about giving up Elder Dragon. They do get away. Looks like UT's still trying something, trying to find anyone from MSU they can. Because with this Elder Dragon, MSU might have a shot of winning a fight. Looks like only 12 shots, trying a bold play onto UT's carries. Does get his passive pop. See the Rakan trying desperately to find a way for his team into this game while they have the Elder Dragon. But, wow, will just get taken down. Cassiopeia will get a few kills for herself. Actually, just the Thresh looks like, unfortunately. We have a massive Baron wave with 3 cannon minions just pounding away at MSU's inhibitor. They will move on to the Nexus, but without the support of their champions, who are instead running up to mid lane to take down that inner turret, and perhaps the inhibitor turret as well. And they know they can. Xanarchy and Fop are just kind of hanging out at Nexus, being forced to clear out the minions coming in. Jarvan gets a massive ultimate onto MSU's carries and functions as a ball delivery system. And that will certainly spell the end for MSU in this game too. Magnolia Man does get a significant amount of damage onto the Ashe. Was able to take her down, but with no one else from MSU alive to help him out, that is just going to be the end of game 2. Oh, wow. 62 kills in a 43-minute game.